Happy Friday. It's the last Friday in February, and as usual, we are in H-1B season for the 2024 fiscal year, which will start on October 1st. So, what is the H-1B visa? The H-1B visa is a temporary work visa for individuals who have at least a bachelor's degree. So, it's for a specialty occupation, right? You can't petition for this visa on your own if you meet those qualifications. You have to have an employer who has extended a job offer to you. And because the visa is so heavily oversubscribed, the process for obtaining an H-1B visa starts with a lottery. So every year, there's about 65,000 H-1B visas that are available in the United States, and there's an additional 20,000 visas for people who have an advanced degree, meaning a master's degree or above. So people with master's degree, potentially you have 85,000 possible visas out there. But if you just have a bachelor's, you're limited to being in that 65,000 pool. And we start with the lottery registration, which will begin on March 1st and run through March 17th. And employers who are looking to hire H-1B workers can register for that lottery. You can set up your account right now, and then you will submit your lottery registration beginning on March 1st. If you are then selected from the lottery, you will then proceed to obtain called a labor condition application from Department of Labor, and then move on to apply for the actual H-1B visa through a petition process with USCIS. So that's kind of how the process works. And this is a very common visa for individuals who have been students. If you've had an F1 visa and you've done your OPT, you may be currently working with an employer on an OPT, and you want to move on to something a little bit longer term. The H-1B is a good transition for that. Unfortunately, because it is a lottery, there is no guarantee that you will get that visa, right? If your F1 status, let's say you graduated last year, usually you're on OPT for a year. If that will expire after your selection, you will need to make sure that your H-1B application is in, timely filed, and then you will be able to maintain your F1 status until the earliest start date, which will be the top of the fiscal year, which starts on October 1st. And we call that the cap gap. So you don't have to worry if you get selected for the H-1B and you have an F1 and it's going to expire sometime during the summer. You're good as long as your employer gets that H-1B application in timely for you to start work on October 1st. So that is the earliest start date for employment under the H-1B status is October 1st. So a lot of things will happen very quickly between when the lottery registration opens and when it closes on the 17th. Usually notifications come in early April who has been selected. And then if you're selected, you will go on to start the application process. There are H-1B visas that are unlimited for certain cap exempt employers. So not all employers are subject to the 65 or 85,000 visas. There are some employers who can apply for an H-1B visa year round and don't have to worry about. And usually those are either nonprofit organizations or organizations who are affiliated with a higher um, tertiary education institution or educational institution. Educational institutions can apply. Certain governmental or research organizations, those employers are not subject to the H-1B cap, and they can apply for H-1B visas year round. So school boards, things like that, you can apply year round for H-1B teachers, for example. So the H-1B program is always heavily oversubscribed. I believe in the last fiscal year, which was 2023, there were some 400,000 applications, over 400,000 applications for those 85,000 spots. So it is a very competitive process, which is why USCIS has implemented the lottery system, because it was a mad rush to that March 1st, be prior to the lottery, and it would crash the system and there would be lots of disasters around it. But they have effectively made some changes, and right now the lottery system is bridging the gap. It's not perfect, it's not ideal. Key things to know: if you file multiple applications in the lottery, all of your app for the same employee, all of those are going to be rejected. So you cannot increase your chances of being selected by filing multiple applications. You'll be doing just the opposite. You'll be disqualifying yourself from getting that H-1B if you file duplicative applications in the lottery. So just one application per employee. And the registration is very straightforward. The employer sets up their account, put in their employer information, and you will be asked to put in information about the prospective employee. And that's about it. It doesn't get into much more details than that. So there's no excuse if you have a potential bachelor's degree employee who is a foreign national, who is a student. Mind you, they need to be currently in legal status. You can go ahead and have that person registered for the lottery. And, fingers crossed, you do get selected and you can go on to the more meaningful stages of the H-1B process. So it is H-1B season. I want to encourage F1 students who are here, either you're still in your F1 process or you're doing your OP, remain hopeful, remain positive. There are options out there for you. The H-1B is one. If you don't get selected, meet with an attorney, consult with an attorney to see, are there other options available to me that I can use to remain in the US if you so desire to do, or explore the options of moving on to another type of visa. Also, moving on and further in your education. If you just have the bachelor's, you might want to continue on to do the master's and give yourself another option at this process. If you are granted the H-1B visa, you can be in that status for a maximum period of 6 years. So it's not a permanent solution, but allows you to get the necessary work experience to build your resume, to potentially have that employer file a more permanent green card application for you. So the H-1B visa is critical to the US economy. We are always, as advocates, petitioning for more, petitioning for a much more streamlined process to get it. But we're working with the system that we have, and we encourage employees, if you want to, you want to get in contact with an immigration attorney now to see how you can go about registering for the lottery and really getting to keep that key talent that you have if you have current OPT employees on your team. That's all I have for you today in terms of our Let's Talk Live. It's H-1B madness, so immigration attorneys across the country, we are, putting together these applications, getting them done. If you are interested in doing this, call our office, 407-802 3223. The H-1B lottery registration period runs from noon on March 1st through noon on March 17th. It doesn't increase your odds if you get it in on March 1st as opposed to getting it in on March 16th. They will not run the lottery until after that time. Then they will notify us of who has been selected. So don't lose your mind trying to be the first one to enter the lottery or doing multiple applications, because that is the number one way you will get kicked out of the lottery and therefore will not be eligible for an H-1B. Have any questions, call us, 407-802-3223. Have a great